Love or hate him, today we'll discuss one of the greatest car customizers of our generation. This man gained fame by cutting and transforming iconic cars into unmistakable masterpieces. Taking a work of art and making it his own is his business. Many believe he has no right to alter such iconic cars, but others see it as exactly what he should be doing because he's an artist, and artists create art. In case you haven't guessed, we're talking about Akira Nakai, the founder of the iconic customization company RWB, Rawelt Begriff. He might not be very well known in Brazil, but if you're even slightly aware of JDM culture and car customization, you've likely come across his work. You've probably seen the video of a Japanese man sitting in a chair, smoking a cigarette with a 911 in front of him, followed by him cutting the car with a saw. It looks straight out of a horror movie, but then the result is shown. A Porsche with huge wide-body kits and an even bigger spoiler, Nakai-san's signature style. If you haven't seen it, after liking and commenting on this video, I invite you to watch one of his videos. I promise you won't regret it. Today, we'll introduce who Akira Nakai is and why RWB is so famous. His journey began in Japan, where he modified anything that came into his hands before he started working on Porsches. He first gained attention with his modified Corolla AE86, a car that, along with Drift King Keiichi Tsuchiya, made history in the late 80s. But wait, you don't know who Keiichi Tsuchiya is? The man who practically invented drifting? You are lucky. We will make an entire video about his story and how he was almost arrested simply for doing what he loved. Returning to Nakai, in the late 80s and early 90s, he was part of a group called Rough World. At that time, it was common for young people to form groups to compete with each other or against other groups. His group stood out with their innovative car designs, featuring gigantic spoilers and wide-body kits. They even had something called negative camber, where the wheels are angled to bring the top of the tires closer to the car's center. Because of this, they earned the nickname Anakin, which means devil camber, and gradually built a reputation as the best drivers in Japan. With their Corollas, they flew through the curves of Mount Tsukuba. It didn't take long for them to receive offers to appear in car magazines. As the group's leader, Nakai gained all the spotlight. As they appeared more frequently, people started to notice they were different. Their cars had something unique. They were both elegant and aggressive. The wide wheels, massive spoilers, and RWB stickers on the windshields conveyed something other cars couldn't. Nakai-san's pastime was transforming these harmless cars into drift monsters. Despite being born during Japan's golden age of the NSX, GTR, and Supra, he always had a passion for a specific brand, which you can probably guess, Porsche. His first contact with the brand was in the 90s while working at a body shop in rural Japan. There, he developed a fascination with the car's mechanics and sleek design. Years later, when a broken 911 turbo appeared in his shop, he offered to buy it instead of fixing it. Little did he know, this car would change his life forever. This 1985 Porsche 911 was Nakai-san's first 911, and it best represents his career. Instead of keeping it in the garage and only driving it on weekends, he wanted to race and test its limits. After all the modifications, it would be a crime not to drive it. He bought the car to race, so one of his first modifications was to remove all the extra weight, including the dashboard and doors, which he replaced with carbon fiber. He even lightened the gearbox. In total, he cut 770 pounds from a car that was already light. Now, the car weighed only 2,095 pounds and, with a custom-built engine from Promodet, it boasted 360 horsepower and an estimated 8,500 RPM. But what truly brought attention to this car was what he did to its body. He simply took a saw and cut the entire car, dividing opinions. However, what he did afterward made up for it. He added enormous carbon fiber fenders, imitating 90s race cars, and a huge, functional spoiler. Instead of using the Rough World sticker, he translated it to German, so it now read Rawelt. He named his car Stella Artois, after his favorite beer he discovered during a trip to Belgium. In my opinion, Nakai-san became famous because he genuinely enjoyed his work. He did it out of love and was good at it. Although he didn't advertise much, his company RWB gained significant notoriety in the early 2000s. Today, his Porsche customizations might be acceptable and even famous, but that's thanks to him. Back then, cutting up a 911 was almost an insult. Some people hated it and thought it was ridiculous, while others were completely obsessed with Akira's work. One such person was Mark Arsenal, who worked at Fatlace, and Brian Scotto, co-founder of Hoonigan, who at the time worked for a magazine called 0 to 60. Given all the fame Nakai-san had gained, he decided it was time to explore new markets. He received an offer from Mark Arsenal to create some cars in the US and work at Fatlace Workshop. That's exactly what Akira did. In the US, he completed his first two 911s outside Japan, customizing them for his American friends. Brian Scotto's unmistakable white 911 was named Hoonigan in honor of Brian's brand, and Mark Arsenal's Pandora one was a striking green. RWB was an underground customization shop making cars that looked like 90s race cars, but things were about to change. His decision to seek a new market in the US was a turning point. Now in a different country with a different culture, people were curious about his work. A major factor that helped his brand take off was that, in the late 90s, Porsche wasn't in the best economic shape. They had all these insane cars but no buyers due to an economic slowdown that drastically reduced the demand for sports and luxury cars. In other words, during this crisis, you could find German sports cars at half their original price. This was very interesting for Akira, as it expanded his market. His audience was no longer limited to a small segment of wealthy older individuals who didn't understand or appreciate his art. With the lower prices, anyone could own a 911, including young rebels who wanted to listen to rock, race, and have insane cars. RWB's popularity grew through Akira's work. Just bringing one of these cars to a car meet made everyone curious. He went viral before the term even existed, with numerous articles discussing his art and frequent appearances in magazines. Everyone was talking about the Japanese guy who cut up Porsches, though not always positively. Many people loved the customizations, but others saw it as disrespectful to the German brand. These detractors were often older, wealthy individuals who preferred to keep a Porsche hidden in their garage rather than on the streets. For Nakai, it was the complete opposite. These cars were meant to be driven and enjoyed to the fullest. Despite their reputation for being challenging to drive, Nakai's modifications improved their handling. The large wheels provided better grip, making them safer at high speeds. Now, let's talk about his creative process. We can't make a video about RWB without discussing how he made his modifications. He literally took a mini saw and cut the car. How did he do it? He would create a line by eye, put tape to align the cut, and start working. What took other customizers hours or days, he did in minutes with surgical precision. He only needed a Coke, a cigarette, and a leather chair to make all your dreams come true. If your dream is to have a completely insane 911 unlike anything you've ever seen, he's the man to do it. He's actually a laid-back guy and even accepts customer requests, but if it were me, I'd simply leave my car in his hands and wait for him to transform it into a devil camber monster. Thank you for your attention. If you've made it this far and enjoyed our work, feel free to follow us, activate the notification bell to be alerted whenever we post new videos, don't forget to like and share with your friends. We'll see you in the next videos. Comment below on the next topic you'd like to see on the channel. Your opinion is very important to us.